Hi everyone, we're going to talk about the universal coordinate system and units in this video for AutoCAD. And so we're going to first start with the universal coordinate system. So down here, when I select this, the XY, you'll see this in your drawing files. So this is the UCS icon, and typically the UCIS or UCS icon is typically at 0, 0, 0 in the drawing. And what those 0, 0, 0 equals is the x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. Typically for us, because we're only in 2D, we're concerned about the x and the y-axis, not so much as the z-axis. But so if I type in PL for my polyline, and then if I want to start at an exact location, instead of just clicking a point, I can, if I want to start at 0, 0, 0, now you can see it has started the line right where the x and y axis meet. And then if I want to then extend my line, then I could do it, let's say 10 feet. And now I have a 10-foot line, polyline, that starts at 0, 0, 0, and extends 10 feet up. So in AutoCAD we have a coordinate system, and I'm going to switch over here. And so on big projects this is Rancho Mission Viejo. You can see that this is similar, or well, is exact to what this looks like. Here's the streets, here's the rows of houses. You can see the sub-streets and everything going up. So how this drawing was assembled is these points are actually GPSed out in the field, and then that coordinate is then translated into AutoCAD. So when we draw it actually here in AutoCAD, is representative of this out here. And so like these basins and all this is, then it's a 1-to-1 based on this coordinate. So these don't start at a 0, 0. Let's see if I can select it. It's a big file. So if I select it, it's, what is that? Starting at 123,970.2469 on the x-axis, and then 108723.5168 on the y-axis. So it's pretty far out there in space. Let's see if I zoom out. So this is how far it is off the x, or the 0, 0 point. It's way out there. But then it's relative to what it is in actual space. So this is important when you're building a community, and then everything's geo-referenced, and then when they start using this, that's how everything's built off of, from the grading of the land to utilities and so on and so forth. So it allows for very precise and accurate translation from the plans out to the field. So I'm going to close this now. Go back. So many of you might are not going to work on a project that big. That's kind of a rarity to work on a project of that size. And so typically a lot of sites, even small sites, aren't geo-referenced. The civil and the architect, they just arbitrarily choose where they're going to start. A lot of people don't like to start at the 0, 0 point, because then the UCS icon kind of interferes with how everything looks. So they'll start, off to the side of it. And then if they want a 10-foot line, then they draw their 10-foot line and work. But it's good to know what your coordinates are, because then if I need to copy between files, I can then copy it via these base point coordinates and then paste it in so it equals the same location. So it's just something to be aware of. That's how AutoCAD works. It's all coordinate based. So if you can see, when I click on it, this item, it tells me the X and Y axis. And yeah. So then next is an important thing, is knowing about units. So if we go here under the A at the top, if we go under drawing utilities, you can go units, and it brings up this subpanel, or you can, in your command line, type units, and magically the same thing comes up. And so in here, this is important of what you're going to select. You have architectural, decimal, engineering, fractional, and scientific. Typically, the most used is architectural and decimal. Sometimes we see engineering, but pretty much the top two are architectural and decimal. So in architectural, I'm going to leave it as it is and show you an example. So what it is doing is architectural is, you can see here next to where it says polar, is it says 9 feet 4 inches 4 3/4 inches. So it's representing the fraction of inches as a fraction instead of a decimal. So that's the difference between architectural and engineering. So let me show you when I go back to units and I do that same thing when I change it to engineering. Now you will see, instead of fractions, it will say 10 feet 4.14 inches, which then you would need to, if you're used to fractions of an inch, you'd have to be doing some conversions in your head to change it from decimals to fractions and so on and so forth. Since most people understand in their head better fractions of an inch instead of decimals, they'll use architectural. So for instance, if I start my line and I want to go 5 feet 3 inches, so I'm using the foot mark and the inch mark. Now that line is going to be 5 foot 3 inches, which you can see right here in the length, 5 feet 3 inches. Now, the other most common that we see often is decimal. So decimal is a unitless. And just type in 15, and it's going to convert 15 unitless increments. So it's not tied to anything. It's not inches, it's not feet, it's not meters, it's not any other type of unit. And so what it is it's whatever it deems 15 units. So this can be 15 inches or 15 feet. It's all relative. As I zoom in, it's bigger or smaller. And so, but why we see this is because in drawings, let's say I'm doing a lot of drawings. In architectural, I would have to hit 15 and then hit the foot mark to make it 15 feet. And because since this is unitless, when I typed in the 15 with the foot mark, it doesn't recognize it. So this makes it 15 feet when they determined to make this 15 feet. I know it can get a little confusing. So it's just they're going to draw everything as that 15 units is 15 feet in their mind. It just saves the drafter from when I turn it back to architectural. If I just type in 15 here, this is not 15 feet, it's 15 inches, which is 1 foot 3 inches. As most people don't do large scale plans in inches as the default, then every line that they draw, they have to then type in 15 within the foot mark to equal 15 feet. So if that person, if they can save time and do it in decimals and just have that equal 15, some people see that as speeding them up. So it's just something to be used to, because some clients will use different units, and it's typically to then we match whatever units that they use. But if we try, typically our firm, we use architectural. And you can even change your precision, 16th of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch. I just leave it 16th of an inch like a ruler. But so that's always good to know about your units, because that does screw up people, is going from inches to feet to inches, and so on and so forth. There's the multiplying factor. If you did a plan, you might have to then multiply it by 12 to go from feet to inches, or do 1/12 to go vice versa. So it's very handy to know, and that can get you out of a jam. So that is an overview of units and coordinates in AutoCAD.